Good afternoon. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm not sure if I'm straight or not. I'll be able to see in a minute. I'm really sorry. I think I'm a couple of minutes late. I have absolutely no excuse. I'm sorry. I was just getting myself organised and obviously did not allow enough time. So what I'm going to do now is try and get myself up on my iPad, and it looks like I'm there. So that's good. Looks like that's working, which is always a plus. I don't know if any of you are here yet, because I'm late. You might not be. You might have thought I'd given up on you. So if you are here, do pop a little comment in just so that I know that I'm not speaking to the ether. Although, of course, I also know that a lot of people watch this afterwards. They watch it on the replay. They watch it on YouTube. So just because you're not watching me live does not mean you're not here. So Belinda's here. Hi Belinda, thank you for sticking with me, and I'm really sorry I'm late. Do you know, I'm struggling today. Do you ever take a day off at the beginning of the week, or I suppose at the end of the week's probably the same, and then you don't know what day of the week it is? So obviously I took yesterday off. Lots of you know that it was my birthday yesterday. I had a lovely day. I enjoyed a day off. But today feels like Monday, and I'm just completely out of sync, and I'm hoping that's not going to be the case all week. I hope I catch up with myself. But it's been very strange, and of course I had 3 days worth of emails and everything to catch up on, so it's been a bit of a manic morning. But it's very exciting that the new catalogue has started today, so I'm excited to be bringing some new things to you, some crafting with some new things, and hearing what you think about it as well. So I don't know if there's anybody else here yet, but I'm just going to keep on going anyway. So it's a nice sunny day at the moment. It's not that warm though, I must admit. I've been changing my clothes several times a day the last few days. First I'm hot, then I think it's chilly, so I put some more layers on, then I take them off. It's very strange. I guess that's the English summer, isn't it? All right, so Belinda says she's never been sure which day of the week it is since she retired. So I've got that to look forward to then, Belinda. Okay, so this week I'm coming to you live today, tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. Yes, got those days right. Instead of just on Friday, which is lovely. I always enjoy chatting with you, and I should be here at 2 o'clock today and then the next 3 days as well. Friday, of course, is my usual slot, but there's 3 extra sessions. So today I'm going to just talk to you about some of my favourite things from the new mini catalogue. I'm sure I will allude a little bit to Celebration, but I'm going to concentrate on Celebration tomorrow. Today I will show you some of the new things. Some of them I'm saving for later in the week. I've got some cards to show you. I've got a card to make with you. If you haven't already made the card I included with your mini catalogue, then you'll be able to make one along with me. And Belinda's in my team. She didn't get a catalogue from me because she gets her own, so she also didn't get a card to make. So you might decide to make along with me, Belinda, when you can see what we're doing. So that basically is what I'm going to do this afternoon. So it'll help if you've got your July to December mini catalogue with you, because you'll be able to look at the pages at the same time as me, and I can't always get everything under the camera to have it all in view. So if you've got your own catalogue, run and get that if it's not in front of you, and if you're crafting with me, make sure you've got your little envelope with all the bits and pieces in it. All right, so I think without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera down to my desk and we'll get started. So bear with me while I cover you over so I don't get you seasick. There we go, that's my little post-it note, and I will be back shortly. So let's see. Oh, I've forgotten to swap my microphone. It'll sound better if I move it. That's better. Oh, okay. So let's just change some settings. I've forgotten that as well. Goodness me, it's only Friday that I last went live. Let me just cover you over a moment. Okay, and then as I joggle my phone stand trying to set the settings, hopefully you will be fine watching it. Okay, so you really would think that I would know about this by now, wouldn't you? I just totally forgot to tweak those little settings. Okay, that looks better now. Sorry about that. That's better. Right, that's my note that I was popping over there, and I've got another note to remind me to say something in a minute. There we go. Bits of paper everywhere. Okay, so the new mini catalogue and the celebration brochure, and I've got a post-it across my celebration brochure, so although I'm mostly talking about celebration tomorrow, not today, I have got a reminder here. 3 of the items in here are available while stocks last. So they're not necessarily going to be available during the whole life of Celebration. Celebration runs until the end of September, and it's possible that these items may go out of stock and then you won't be able to get hold of them at all. So some items, if they go out of stock, will just go on to back order and they'll get some more in. But these are going to take so long to get here, given the current worldwide shipping problems, that when they're gone, they're gone. And those are the Bedazzling paper, which is this sparkly paper here. The sheep dies on page 11. There we go. And the Summer Shadows dies over the page from the sheep, these here. So those 3 items, if you like them, then when you're putting in a qualifying order, order them as your first celebration items, because that way you should get them and you hopefully won't be disappointed. And if you are watching this and you don't have a demonstrator and therefore you don't have catalogues, let me know and I'll be very happy to send you some catalogues out. So that's the first thing to say. I can move my celebration out of the way. I probably won't be needing that now. All right, so the mini catalogue then. So there's a festive cover on it. I'm not very good about thinking about Christmas at this time of year, although I will be doing Christmas on Thursday, so come back at 2 o'clock on Thursday to see some festive projects. But although they've put Christmas on the front, there are lots and lots of things in this catalogue which are much more for other occasions. So there are sort of harvest things, there are Halloweeny things, there are late summer things, celebrations in general. So don't be fooled by the cover. I'll be dealing with kind of late summer projects and autumn projects on Friday and Christmas on Thursday, but we will be talking a little bit about some of those things today. So I'm just going to page reasonably quickly through some of the catalogue and show you some of my favourite things, because sometimes you don't notice them when you first go through the catalogue. Do you find that? I certainly do. So the first thing I wanted to just make sure you didn't miss, and I'm sure you won't because there's a good sort of double spread and a bit on this, is the Painted Christmas Suite. If you like traditional Christmas colours, traditional Christmas imagery, then I reckon this will fit the bill, but it's just got a bit of a modern twist. I think the shapes of the pine cones and the berries are just a little bit modern, which is beautiful. Everything has a kind of a watercoloured finish to it. There are 2 stamp sets, one with images and one with words, and both of them have got dies that coordinate. And although some of the dies here in the Christmas season bundle do cut out the images that you'll stamp, there are lots of these fabulous labels which will not cut out images. They're just, you can use them on all kinds of projects. So those are definitely worth a closer look. And the Christmas to Remember bundle, actually, although it works brilliantly with the words, it also coordinates back to the other stamps and dies, and these are kind of independent shapes that you will cut. So if I show you this sample card, for instance, you can see you've got layers to make up pine cones in various sizes, and then you also cut these beautiful conifer foliage shapes, which they've used here as well, to use in the background or to use as more focal points in your card. So both those stamp and die sets are really lovely. Belinda's saying the paper is lovely and actually she loves the whole suite. Yeah, I completely agree, Belinda. I've got a few bits from this suite which I thought I would actually show you. Things which I found didn't come across perhaps as well in the catalogue as they might. So this is the Cherry Cobbler and Gold metallic ribbon. and I'm hoping if I twist it you can see the gold catching the light. It's edged with gold and then there's gold throughout the weave, and it's a really nice ribbon. It will tie into bows nicely. You can make it into loops, you can tie knots, tie it round packages. Although it's a metallic ribbon, it is quite soft, so you can see it ties into a bow really nicely. The holly leaves I thought might be a little bit kind of puffy. You know, you get those sort of puffy fabric embellishments. I thought these might be like that, but actually they're not. There we go. Sprinkle some of those out. So the gold holly leaves come in 2 different sizes, and you get 30 in a pack. I was going to say 20, but it's actually 30. So if I lift these up and show you, hoping you can see that. So they've got a kind of a natural fat coloured fabric background with lots of gold on them. You can see the veins on the leaves, and they are very thin. If I hold one up sideways, they're not puffy at all. They're actually very thin. They're about the thickness of card, and they are really beautiful. The big ones are, let me measure that, just about 1 inch long, and the small ones are about 3/4 of an inch long. So these are gorgeous. They'll be very easy to add to your projects with glue dots. They'll look lovely popped on a sentiment just at one end of it. They've used some in these samples here, just tucked underneath along with the die cut foliage and pine cones, and they've also popped a couple here on this little parcel. So they're really lovely. And I am just going to show you the paper, because as Belinda says, the whole suite is lovely and the paper is really beautiful. So just pull out 1 sheet of each design. There we go. So this all has a watercolour look, and it coordinates absolutely perfectly with the Christmas season stamp set. But it will actually work with all kinds of Christmassy things that you may have already. If you've got anything really which has got foliage and berries on it, then you're going to find that somewhere there will be paper in this pack that's going to coordinate. The colours are traditional greens with some brown and red. I'll read out the list of colours to you. So if you want to match exactly with your card and ink, we've got cherry cobbler, crumb cake, early espresso, evening evergreen, garden green, pear pizzazz, real red, soft sea foam, soft succulent, and calypso coral, which sounds a little bit unlikely, but I'll show you in a sec where we get to calypso coral. So this one, leaves and berries all the way. This one, we've got a lovely watercolour wash background with evergreen sprigs, and then beautiful pine cone sprigs on the other side. I love the style of these papers, they're so usable. This one is another all over pattern with leaves and berries. And then on the back we've got a pale green, that's soft sea foam, with a white design of holly leaves. I don't know how well you can see that. Hoping that will get picked up there by the camera. Then we've got all over pine cones with a sort of a, let me turn it, almost like a birch bark effect watercoloured background. And this is where you've got some coral. So this is like a herringbone brickwork pattern. So something a little bit different, definitely not necessarily just for Christmas either. And actually several of these would be usable all year round. This one, for instance. And on the back of that you've got these just all over green leaves, which actually is quite summery, isn't it? You could use that with, you know, your floral stamps. That would be beautiful. And then finally this one, which also has a little bit of coral on it as well as the red, which is a little bit like baubles, a little bit like berries, just another useful all over pattern. And then on the back of that, berries and evergreen sprigs. So this paper is really pretty, very, very usable. And as I say, if you have already got some Christmas stamps and dies in your collection, I think you're going to find this paper is going to work with almost all of them. All right, I'm going to just tuck that back in the packet. If it'll go, yes it will. Pop that out of the way and move on. Okay, so I'm now on page 23, and this is really just to point this little picture here out to you, because it's easy sometimes to miss the smaller pictures. They don't catch the eye in the same way. So this is a pack of speciality silver foil card with 3 different finishes. So you've got a finish that is brushed metallic, one that is matte, and one that is mirrored. So they're all foil, but they're different textures. And on page 32 there is a returning favourite from last year, which if I can find it I'll show you here. So we had this last year, so this is brushed metallics, which are more in the gold tone. So we've got bronze, copper and gold here. So that's another kind of different textured foil pack. So that's golds and this is silvers. So the silvery pack has got 3 sheets in it and the gold pack has got 6 sheets in it. That's just so you don't miss it. Belinda is saying she still has the poinsettia suite from last year, so she's thinking she'll try it with those. Yes, absolutely. I've got those stamps as well. I'm looking forward to giving it a go with those. So I'm turning over now to pages 24 and 25, and if you want something that's less traditional, I've just shown you something that I think is more traditional. This is a little bit less traditional. This is the Whimsy and Wonder suite. I love this. I don't have it yet, but it's on my wish list because I just love the colours. So we've got some greens, but we've also got pinks and blues. And although the image types are quite traditional with Christmas trees and presents and baubles and so on, they're actually drawn in quite a whimsical way that makes it much more modern. So I do really like these. I said I didn't have anything from this suite. Actually I do. I've got the snowflakes, which I'm going to show you when we look at the Christmas things on Thursday, and I do also have this Blushing Bride frayed ribbon, which I'm just going to pull in and show you. This is really pretty ribbon. It's not very frayed, it almost just has sort of a soft edge to it. I drape it over my hand and lift it up. Let's see if I can try to get it in focus. So it's a grosgrain ribbon, so it's slightly on the firm side, but it's a very, very pretty ribbon indeed. Belinda does have this Whimsy and Wonder suite. She says she thinks it's her favourite because the colours are so unusual. Yes, they are. They're very pretty colours. I do really love it. So although this is quite a firm ribbon, it does tie really nicely in bows, and it's absolutely perfect for gift wrapping and packaging. Let me pop that back out of the way. And in fact, they've used some here. They've made a kind of a sort of a parcel bow effect there on that packaging, and then here they've just folded a length over and used it with some linen twine. So that's really pretty. So that's the Whimsy and Wonder suite, something just a little bit different. So if you like winter animals, page 26 and 27 is definitely for you. So we have the Peaceful Deer bundle here. The deer are lovely, and you've got a bonus rabbit in here too. So you've got some sort of realistic deer, and then you've also got this one here with words in it. It says, "Oh, what fun." So much more kind of stylized. Very useful word images. "Merry Christmas, let's celebrate," "from all of us," and so on. So look, that's a great set there. It's photopolymer, so it's reasonably priced. You've got a lot of images there. 20 different stamps, and the cost of the set's £20. And there's a coordinating punch here, which is shown down here, which cuts out the deer and the antlers and a little circle as well, so you can make a Rudolph if you want to. You'll also find that there is some paper which coordinates in the Celebration brochure. Let me just grab that. What have I done with my Celebration brochure? Okay, oh, there it is. On page 8, here we are. So you'll see this is a pack of free paper. So place an order for £45 and you can choose this as a free item. for August and September, and you'll see that it coordinates here with this punch. So they've used the stamps, punched it out with the punch, used some of the paper behind. You can also punch out the gingham deer on here, which is what they've done over here with the deer punch. So you can use the free paper and coordinate it with the stamps and dies in the catalogue. I love it when they do that coordination. And then on the other side of the page, I will be using this stamp set in my all-day Christmas extravaganza, which is happening in November. Let me give you the date. November the 20th, I ought to remember that, it's my brother's birthday. November the 20th. We have been asking for as long as I can remember for a robin. Robins in America, which is where our stamps are made, as you may know, are very different birds. They look much more like our blackbirds. So we've wanted a European robin, and they've finally given us one. And bonus, we've got holly, which is hard to think of anything that is more English at Christmas than holly, plus some absolutely brilliant words here. I have stamped them out to show you as well, because sometimes seeing things stamped looks just a little bit different to seeing them in the catalogue. So I've actually stamped these on card here. I'm hoping, I'll just wait for my iPad to catch up and see if I can get it all on for you. It might be too close, let's see. No, I think I can just about get that on. So the robin is gorgeous, the holly is just lovely, and then you've got this brilliant Happy Christmas for you, Noel, which is really, really useful. Christmas blessings to you and yours, wishing your family health and happiness throughout the coming year, and sharing the promise of the season, plus this really nice little dotty border here. So fantastic stamps. If you do my Christmas extravaganza, you'll get this set as part of the class. If you want to do the class but you can't wait to buy this set yourself, then you'll get a credit to the value of this set and you can choose something else, so that's not going to be a problem. It's bundled in the catalogue, if you want them both, with a really nice border punch, which is not shown very well here, but you can see the results of it in the samples. So they've used some of the punched out holly leaves and berries here for a background. They've wrapped some socks, I think, some Christmas socks here in some foil, which they've used the punch on. And I have just punched it out as well to show you. So I've punched this red card using that border punch and just laid it on some green just so that you can see the contrast. And then the confetti that comes out of it you can of course put back together to make holly on your cards. And the border punches are really easy to use. If you haven't used them before, let me just grab a piece of scrap card here. So there's a little line on here on the base, you probably can't see it very easily, and one the other end, which delineates on the base of the punch where the pattern is going to start and end. So I always start off with the left of those marks against the left hand side of my card, which I put in the wrong way. There we are, that's better. And then I'm just going to punch it. And it's worth saying at this stage that with the border punches you definitely want to use them flat on a table. With an ordinary punch I tend to pick it up in my hand, turn it upside down and look here to see at what I'm punching. But with the border punches you want to use them flat on a table. So I'll put my card in and I'm going to push my card hard up against this ridge at the back. And then just press down to punch. Okay, so that has punched me out two patterns of the holly and berries. But then if I want to continue on, so I'll put that back in as if I'd just punched it, all I need to do is slide my card out through the punch and match up one of the punched shapes with the punched pattern on my border. So the pattern is printed on the base, both sides. And I'll match this, then I'll lift it up and try and just show you. Where am I going with this? There we are. So I've pushed my card right against the ridge at the back and I'm hoping you can see that just here what's punched from my card matches with the pattern on the border. And if I do that, make sure my card is pushed against that ridge at the back, then when I punch again, I get perfect matching. There's no double punching of anything. And I can just keep going and keep going and keep going with as long a strip as I want, as I did on here. So the border punches are easy to use. You get a great result with them. And I think it's lovely to have a holly punch bundled up with a set of stamps that includes a robin. Seems like a winner to me. So that's that one. So I know that's Christmas, and I'm not really doing Christmas today, but I did just have to show you that. Okay, I don't think I really need to say anything about page 30. The Sweet Stockings suite. If you are an animal lover, whether you like cats or whether you like dogs, then this is just perfect. The samples on here are gorgeous. They show some of the stamped images and some of the paper and some of the die cut shapes. They're just lovely. So we've got animals, we've got a hamster, a cat and a dog with stockings for them to come out of, and then the paper has got useful designs on the back, and then the other side is largely animals, plus we've got some other things. We've got the lights and we've got the stockings, but they're just beautiful. Lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, page 33. I've already had people order this from me. People are loving the penguins. The Penguin Place bundle. I mean, who wouldn't love a penguin? So you've got a big stamp set here. Super good value. So this is has 28 stamps in it, a mixture of words and images, and you can build up a penguin. You've got all kinds of things to dress them in here. Scarves and reindeer antlers and all sorts. And you've got a penguin facing you. You've got a profile penguin. Lots of useful words. And then you can bundle it and save 10% on the penguin punch, which will punch out the outline of this image. Then it will also punch out the section that's white there, so you can layer up black and white card, and then it also punches out the little flipper. So that's really lovely. And what's even more genius is if I move back to the Celebration brochure, one of the Celebration free choices, so if you spend £45 you can choose this for free, is this pack of paper which coordinates. So you've got similar images. You can, I believe, punch out, yes you can punch out the penguin with the penguin punch. So you can punch from the paper. It's just lovely. Even more gorgeous samples in here. They're just really, really lovely. So you can cut out from the paper, you can punch out from the paper, you can use the paper with the coordinating stamps because the images are related or identical, and the two just work together brilliantly. So if you love penguins, that is perfect. And as one of my team members has been telling me, penguins are not just for Christmas, which is indeed true. You've got a balloon in here for a start. You've got a present. If you've got the old balloon punch, you'll find that it will also punch out that balloon. So super useful. Belinda's saying the penguins are such fun. They are. Another one of my favourite things is on page 36. This is the Peaceful Place suite, and I'm not going to say a lot about it now because I'm going to come back to it on Thursday when I do Christmas things. So yes, but it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. Page 39, there's two things here. This one as well. This is the Peaceful Cabin, which I'm coming back to on Thursday, but I do love the polar bears. They're on my wish list. I haven't got them yet, but I just think they're lovely. They're on the realistic side rather than the cute side, and I think you can probably make all kinds of fantastic Arctic scenes here. I love the gulls as well, and the words are great. Thinking of you, you've got thank you, so that's a really, really nice set. I'd love to know, have you got a favourite so far? Anything on here you're thinking, oh, I have to have that in my stash? So I've just flipped to page 42, and here is something else I think it would be easy to miss, so I'm just going to make sure you don't, which is here. It's the Merry Melody embossing folder. So it's a large 6-inch square embossing folder, a 3D one, which means that it's going to emboss at differing depths, so you get beautiful embossing. And actually even the sample is difficult to see, but take my word for it, this is like music score. So you've got the stave with the 5 lines, and then you've got music notes. So this is going to be beautiful at Christmas, but it's also going to be lovely at other times of the year as well. So that's a really nice embossing folder, but actually quite hard to photograph and quite hard to see in the catalogue. So don't miss it, because I've told you where it is. Page 44, this seems to be a favourite with a lot of people. This is the Blackberry Beauty suite, and I'm going to be showing this in much more detail on Friday. So come back at 2 o'clock on Friday or watch the recording afterwards, and I will be doing much more with this. However, the card that I sent out as a little kit with your catalogue is from this suite, so we will be playing just a little bit with this, and I think I am going to show you the papers in real life this afternoon because they're just stunningly gorgeous. Flipping over from there, page 46, Welcoming Woods. This is a beautiful set. Useful words, lovely images, and I'm actually going to make something with that in a minute. So I'll move past that, but we will be coming back to it. I've only got 3 more markers, not much. Harvest Meadow, this is also beautiful. And if you like Quiet Meadow in the annual catalogue, Harvest Meadow is a perfect complement to it. Beautiful wildflower imagery stamps, absolutely lovely dies, and this really gorgeous time-worn type embossing folder, which I popped a little piece of this embossed for you to use on the card on the kit I sent out with your catalogue, so we'll be coming back to that this afternoon. So Belinda saying she has that set too and she loves it. I'm not sure which one, Belinda, because I've only just seen your comment. Is that one of the wintry ones, or is that one of the late summer ones? So yes, Harvest Meadow I will be coming back to on Friday as well. Page 57, I think you can't ever really have enough sentiments, because sometimes you need a big one, sometimes you need a small one, sometimes you need one in a modern font or a traditional one. But this set here, page 57, Heartfelt Wishes, I love the font. It looks like hand-drawn calligraphy, and it's useful. You've got thanks on there, and you've got sending love, you've got Merry Christmas, you've also got and a Happy New Year, which we don't always get on stamp sets. You've got To You and Yours, which of course you can use anywhere, any time of year. So I think that's a lovely, lovely word set. And then the final item to show you, which I'm going to show you a couple of samples I've made using this, are on page 60, Reflected in Nature set here, which is stunning when you stamp it. Absolutely beautiful. So I'll show you some of those in just a minute. Then at the end of the catalogue there are always a few useful pages, and I'm just going to make sure that you know they're there. So there is a list of all the bundles starting on page 65. So bundles are where there is a set of stamps plus either a punch or dies, and if you buy the 2 at the same time using the special reference number you'll save 10%. So it's worth pointing out, if you're wondering what the bundles are, where you can save some money, look from page 65 and you've got an index there. And the samples they show you here are not the same ones that are in the main body of the catalogue, so these are extra samples, so enjoy those. Starting on page 72, you've got an index for this catalogue, so you can flick through. It's a pictorial index, but if you know that there's a set with, let's say, polar bears on it, but you can't find it, look on here, you'll see an image, and that will then tell you where to find it. Then the dies are also included, as are the embossing folders, the papers, the ribbons, all the embellishments, and all the other bits and pieces. So those are all on there. On page 78 there are these 2 sets here, which are available to you if you put in a big order. If there's lots that you like, then you will be able to choose one of these sets with your allowance of free products. So if you place an order for £150, then you will get 10% of that order value, which at that level would be £15, for free. So you can choose £15 worth of products for free. So if your wish list is big or you're going to treat yourself, then remember that. And the 2 stamp sets on here are only available in that situation, so that you can't just order them on any old order. And they're always priced down at a lower level. So this one, for instance, with the amaryllis on it, is £9. The normal price would be £15, but they're only charging you £9. So actually your free product allowance will go even further. And this one here is £11, and it's a £19 value. So that is worth knowing. There are also extra things if you place a large order, extra things from the Celebration catalogue. So I am going to talk about this. I'll mention it again tomorrow. But on page 16, you can see that if you place a really big order for £275, not only will you get the free products, but you'll also get this stamp set for free. So a whole stamp set with amazing sets of words on it. These were all suggested by Stampin' Up demonstrators around the world, and they would say, I really would like a stamp with these words on it. So they collected a whole lot of them. So that's an extra set for free. And you don't have to be spending that amount yourself, although you might be. You don't have to be. You might be collecting up some things that perhaps your family would like. Maybe you craft with your children or your grandchildren or your sister. If there's anything they would like, then you can add it all onto the same order and you can get the extra free things that way. And then finally, just to show you in here, there are some little icons in the catalogue. So if you see those, you'll see on the inside back cover there's the interpretation of them. So you've got things which have been in a catalogue before, but they've come back because they were really popular. Any of the projects with this little clock by them are quick and easy. So if you want to do something quickly or you want to make lots of something, let's say you need 20 Christmas cards, this will be a good one to look for. Distinctive is a particular kind of stamp which I'll be showing you in a minute. They produce very, very detailed images because they lay down different amounts of ink within the same stamp, although you ink them up in the normal way. And then if you have the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, this little mini with the machine will tell you that these items will fit in your machine. So there we go. That is a very quick run through the catalogue. Now before I do anything else, I'm just going to bring back my lovely little robin set, and I just thought I would very quickly remind you about putting labels on your stamps. If you buy red rubber stamps, you will find that they don't have the pictures on them. So this is one where I've added the label, but when they come like this, and in fact they actually come with a backing on them. Can I fit this on? No, I can't. Perhaps I've got it round the wrong way. Anyway, they come with a white backing paper on them which you peel off. That reveals this shiny surface. And then you add a label which tells you what's on the stamp. And there are 2 ways you can put your stamps on. One is the way that Stampin' Up recommends, and one is a way which I think is even easier. So I'm going to show you both. So in the lid of your box, this is the method that Stampin' Up recommends, and it's a perfectly good way of doing them, and it's how I did them up until fairly recently. So on your labels sheet, you'll see that one side is die cut around the label and it will be split. So you can just bend the sheet and you can peel the backing off to reveal the label like that. And then you take the corresponding stamp. I've already peeled that paper off there and revealed this kind of shiny side. And then I just have to stick the foam side of my stamp to the label, and it's a little bit like those tray puzzles you do with small children. You just have to match the stamp to the label and then drop it on, press it well, and then when you peel it off, you will find that the label will come off on the stamp, and then I've got a stamp all ready to go. So that is the way that you will see illustrated inside the stamp box. Actually, I'm going to move that or I won't get my robin back in here. Let's pop that down there. However, there is another way of doing them, which I find is even easier. So for this method, you peel the entire label off the sheet, like that. So I haven't taken it off here where it's split. I've peeled it off and I'm going to stick it on my block, like that. Now I'm going to peel off the part that is split. So where the split is, this is the side that is going to stick to the actual stamp. So then I've got my stamp there, I've peeled the backing off to reveal the shiny side of the foam, and then I'm going to turn this over, label side down, and I'm just going to match this to my stamp and then press it down. And actually I'm going to pull it a bit closer to me, so I'm sorry if this is out of shot, but I don't want to get the label on wrong because you only get one go. If it goes on crooked, that's it. So I'm now going to push that down. My label's now stuck to my stamp, and then I can peel that off my block, and there it is. So that's another way to pop the labels on your stamps, and putting the labels on yourself just keeps the cost of the stamp set down, because you're not having to get somebody to do this for you. You can do it yourself. I quite like doing it. It always makes me look at the images much more closely if I'm popping the labels on. Alright, so I'm going to move these along. So, oh, Belinda says she needs to try that way. Yeah, for some things I definitely find it's easier, Belinda, so let me know how you get on. Belinda was saying, when she was saying she has that set too, it was the 2 summer sets. Yes, so I'm going to be coming back to those on Friday. They are really beautiful. So I'm just clearing a little bit of space. And I'm going to bring in the pack which I sent out with your catalogues. I did give you a little printed sheet with the pack in case you couldn't wait and you just wanted to get on and make your card. So you did get a little sheet like this which told you how to make up your card. And actually at this point I need to make a bit of an apology because I wrote down here what I'd used in case you wanted to know, and I realised afterwards I'd forgotten 2 things, which is really not very helpful. So I neatened the top of your tag with the delightful tag topper punch, which is in the annual catalogue. And the oak leaves were cut using, no, not the oak leaves, sorry, the I think it's the label. I'm just double checking before I tell you something wrong. Yeah, the label. So your label was cut using the harvest dies. The leaves were cut with the beautiful leaves dies. So my apologies for telling you that wrong, or missing it off I should say. And while I'm on an apology, if you did get a catalogue pack from me, I realised when it was all too late and they'd been sent to the post office that I'd completely forgotten to sign the letter. I wrote you a letter and I just didn't sign it. So my apologies for that. I will try to do better next time. I don't know how many of you spotted that. But yes, could do better. Alright, so let me show you the card. So this is what your pack makes up into. I absolutely had to use this gorgeous paper. So I'll show you that and then I will come back and make the card. I'd love to know how many of you are making a card along with me. And I'm also just going to have some of my cup of tea because I can feel my throat getting really dry. That's better. So this is the Blackberry Beauty paper, and I'm going to go more into everything else that coordinates with it on Friday, but I do just want to show you this paper as we're using some. So in your card pack you had some of this, which is beautiful with oak leaves and berries, and this is specialty paper, which means that one side of each piece has got gold foiling on it, so it's just lovely. So the back of this is a lovely floral pattern. It's one way, so it obviously sits this way up with the flowers standing up the right way, and you've got flowers and berries. You've just got like a cream pattern on a brown background, and the colours in this paper pack are Blackberry Bliss, Cinnamon Cider, which is what this brown is, Early Espresso, Polished Pink and Rich Razzleberry, and they're beautiful. It's hard for me to pick my favourite paper, but it might be this one. So this is another version of a way of designing paper which Stampin' Up are doing a lot at the moment, where it's a mirror image. So this paper is 12 inches square. I'll bring it down and hopefully you can see, like that. So you can obviously cut this across there and cut it down here, and you've got a card front there, or an album cover, or you know, a piece for 6x6 scrapbooking, or whatever you like. Instantly, you've almost got to do nothing with it. It's beautiful. And I'm sure you can see the gold highlights on here. We've got cow parsley and thistles on here, and some other little plants. Beautiful, this paper. And on the back you've got a thistle design in these beautiful purples. Really lovely. I love this one too, which is a rich raspberry background with lots and lots and lots of gold foil on it, with this leafy and floral pattern. Beautiful. And then on the back you've got a brown, two browns, Early Espresso and Cinnamon Cider, with some twigs. This one is beautiful too. This is little flying birds with little gold, I don't know if those are berries or flowers, but they're lovely. And purple as well, so that's really lovely. And then on the back and all over, purple and pink pattern. I also love this one with the owls. So you've got owls there with some gold on their wings, and then foliage and feathers in the background. Again, quite a lot of gold on this. Really beautiful. I'm hoping you can see the gold shining. I think it's looking yellow when I look at this on my iPad, but it's actually gold. And then a diamond pattern here, slightly distressed looking, just to add some extra interest. And then the last pattern is this one. It's got Blackberry Bliss background, and again lots of gold. So all this foliage is in gold foil. So it's really sumptuous patterns. And then a herringbone in browns on the back. Reminds me a little bit of fabrics, velvets, or tapestries, maybe in a stately home. I don't know, there's something about these. They're just gorgeous. They're really rich, beautiful papers. And so I used one of those prints on here. So let me find my pack. So who's making along with me, and who has already made up their design? So if you're making along with me, you've got the instructions there. You've got a label. In fact, I gave you two labels, so you've got one in just in case something goes wrong, and if not, you've got one to use on something else. I cut you 3 little oak leaves from this beautiful gold shimmer vellum, which I'm just going to pull a bigger piece out. And again, I'll try and tilt it, and hopefully the light will catch it. It's got lots and lots of gold shimmer on one side. It's really pretty. And then I cut you a tag in vanilla, and then I've embossed it using the Time Worn Type embossing folder, which I love. I love anything distressed, and this one is really beautiful. You've got some of the new gold ribbon. This is really lovely. Obviously this is not a Christmas project, so it's great for anything with gold on it, but this will be lovely at Christmas as well. And then I've given you a card base of rich razzleberry, a layer of cinnamon cider card, and then a piece of this beautiful oak leaf patterned paper. If you prefer, you can use that side, of course, but I'm definitely using this one with the gold. So the first thing to do is to layer together the patterned paper with the cinnamon cider card, and they're the same height as each other, but you'll have a border either side. Just trying to get those straight. I'm not sure that's very straight. Let's slide it just a little bit. I think that's better. In fact, my paper is just a smidgen long, hardly anything actually, but let me just trim that off. There we are. Then I'm going to add that onto my card base and take out the insert. Now you could put this up on dimensionals if you wanted. I haven't. I'm sticking mine flat, but I'm going to use some dimensionals on the tag. There we are. So I'll set that aside for a minute. I'm now going to bring in my tag and my leaves. I've got my linen thread, my ribbon and my labels. So I'm going to need all the other bits basically. So I'm going to stamp my label first. So I'm using the thank you image from the Nature's Harvest set here. It's also nice to have a good luck stamp. We don't have many of those in the catalogue, so that's handy. And then there are some other sentiments in here, and then of course these beautiful florals, but it's the thank you I'm going to use. You can use whatever words you like. Anything that fits the label will be absolutely fine. And I have Blackberry Bliss ink here, and I almost always get covered in Blackberry Bliss ink, so I'll try not to. Hoping this will be in the middle. There we go. So I can set that label aside. I'm going to pop the ribbon through here. If you watched me on my Facebook Live a few weeks ago where I dealt with ribbon and bows, I did show you this trick using a little scrap of ribbon, because this is only about 3 or 4 inches of ribbon. So I've just threaded it through the holes in the tag. Then I'm going to bring my linen thread out, wrap it around the ribbon and tie it in a knot just above the top of the tag. I'll pick this up and show you once I've done it, just to hold that ribbon in place. So it's just tied in a single knot, and then I'm going to tie a bow. So keep those tiny little snippets of ribbon, add a bit of linen thread or baker's twine, and then you can use them on a project. And none of us like to throw ribbon away, do we? I'm sure you're just the same as me. So I'll trim off my ends. Then I'm just going to neaten the ends of the ribbon by cutting them on a diagonal so they don't fray. Like that. Let's get rid of that debris. Next I'm going to think about where I'm going to put my words, which are going to go on here somewhere. So that will then allow me to place my leaves. Now vellum can be a little bit tricky to glue because you can often see where the glue has gone, but actually because this has got a shimmer to it, that does hide the glue quite nicely. So I'm not going to go wild with the glue. I'm only going to use a small amount, but it is unlikely to show because the vellum is coloured and has got this shimmer on it, which is great. So you can see there are 3 different sizes to the oak leaves. So it's nice to have that variation in the dies. Alright, so I'll put my sentiment on in a minute, but first I'm going to pop these on with some dimensionals. Always assuming I can find them on my desk. Okay, I think they're on the floor. Bear with me. Yes, they were. I'd knocked them off. There we go. I'm actually going to use some edge strips of dimensionals, I think, because that's going to be easier. I'm sure you know this, but don't throw away your sheets of dimensionals when you've used them, because you can use these edge pieces and they are great for tags where you want something a little bit larger, or longer I should say. And I'll just put a little bit more in there just so that middle section is supported. There we are. Much quicker as well than peeling the backs off individual dimensionals. There we are. Now, if you haven't got dimensionals or you don't want to make a card that's a little bit deeper, then just glue this down with ordinary glue. There we are. So I'm just going to put that on at a jaunty angle, and then my sentiment is going to come on here. So it's half on my tag and half off the tag, and the bit that's off the tag needs dimensionals under that end, otherwise it's going to be on a slope because my tag is raised. This needs to be supported underneath at that end. So I'm just going to pop a dimensional there, and then I'm going to just use ordinary glue on the rest of the label like that. So the end with the dimensional is off the tag, and I'm going to put this on parallel to the bottom of my card like that. And that's it. That is my card front done. So I could stamp thank you on here, but actually I think I'm going to leave it blank so that I can write on my insert. If you're making a birthday card, then you may want to put happy birthday on the inside. But I am just going to glue this into my card. So I hope you have enjoyed making up the card pack I sent out. I love these colours. They're a little bit different, I think. I wouldn't normally have thought to put purples and browns together, but I really love them. So I'll leave you just to look at those while I just have a little drop more of my tea. And then I'm just going to show you the same card but a slightly different version. So you can see that the layers are the same, the tag is the same, but what I've done instead, instead of using the leaves, I've used some of these grasses from the Harvest dies. Harvest dies, yes. When the catalogue's new, it takes me a little while to remember what everything's called, but they are the Harvest dies. If I just pull them out and show you. So this is 3 of the dies. So I've used this one just to cut those, I think they're perhaps wheat, I don't know, out of cinnamon cider card. And I've used some of the beautiful brushed metal dots on here. So they have a sort of a much more matte finish. So they're really lovely. So I added those. So it's essentially exactly the same card. I've just changed what I put on the tag, and you could change it infinitely, really. You could put all kinds of different things on there. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Let me just move those things away and bring in something else. So I have one more project that I'm going to make, and then I've got another variation to show you, and then a couple of other things that I've already made in advance. So I promised to show you a little bit more of this welcoming wood set. Most of you know I live in the New Forest. I'm surrounded by trees. I absolutely love trees, and I love tree stamps for the same reason. So I was instantly drawn to this with these beautiful silver birch trunks. So I've stamped all the images out just to show you. Again, I'm just going to let my iPad catch up and make sure I haven't got this off the top. I'll adjust it if I have. No, that's about right, isn't it? So here are the birch trunks, and then there is this slightly odd looking stamp here, which in fact fits in between the birch trunks. So I have stamped it there as well as a kind of a background. So it just fits in between them. You'll see me stamp it in a minute. Then as additions, you've got snowflakes, so you can have snow coming across your trees, or you've got leaves blowing away. And then there are lots of words. Thank you for your kindness. And actually this thank you for your kindness is very easy to mask, so you can mask that off and just have thank you if you prefer. We've got hello friend, good luck on your new adventure. And again, it would be easy to mask off the bottom bit and have just the good luck if you want it. Happy birthday and best wishes, which are always useful. Celebrate, and then every season brings its own wonder, which is perfect if you're doing scrapbooking or memory keeping particularly. So there you go then. So that's all the images, and then I've made a couple of different cards. I'm going to show you how I made this one. So I've made it into a birthday card. I actually think this is going to be perfect for a Christmas card, and I would use exactly the same card. I would just change what I'd put on the sentiment, I think, if I was wanting to make a Christmas card, and I probably will use this for a Christmas card because I do really like it. So my background here is the birch stamp, which is a large stamp, and it is a piece of birch bark basically. If you know birch trees at all, you'll know that this is exactly what the white bark with the very dark patterning on it looks like. And that seemed really apt because I'm sure these are birch trees as well. So I've got my birch stamp mounted up, and then from the welcoming wood set I've got the tree trunks here, I've got this little background stamp, and I've got the happy birthday here as well. So let me bring those in. I have Memento ink, which is a nice black ink for most of the stamping. I've done the little background strippy stamp there in Misty Moonlight, and also the words are in Misty Moonlight, and then I'm going to do some inking on the background in Misty Moonlight and Balmy Blue. Then I've also got, and I don't know if it showed up, I have used a little bit of Wink of Stella just to edge those images, just to make it look a bit like a frosty day. So first of all I'm going to ink my piece for the background. And I'm looking for a square piece of card, and I think I've given myself 2 rectangles, but that's okay. Yes, I have given myself 2 rectangles and no square. That's all right. Let me just cut one of those down. Is my ruler gone? Let's measure this. So I need a piece of white, which is 3.5 by 3.5. Well, that's easy. And is this 3.5 wide? Yes, it is. So let me just cut that down. There we are. All right. So this is square, so it doesn't really matter which way round I have it. I'm going to ink the whole thing in Balmy Blue, and then I'm going to add some darker Misty Moonlight to the centre. So I've got my trusty blending brush here. I have a clear block, which I like to use just to work the ink in the bristles on, just to make sure I don't get any really blobby bits. And then I'm just going to lightly blend the ink over the card. and most of this is going to be covered by the Stampin'. You'll only really see the bits that are coming through the trees, so I perhaps don't need to be quite as fussy as I would be normally about blending it all seamlessly, but the ink goes on really nice and smoothly anyway with these brushes. There we are. So that's some balmy blue all over, and now I'm going to add some Misty Moonlight in the centre. I don't think there's much balmy blue left on there. No, there isn't. And I don't wash my brushes in between, so I'm going to use Misty Moonlight on the same brush. I have turned my block over just to blend it into the bristles, and then I'm just going to work this across the centre just to darken up that area in the middle, because that's where we'll be kind of looking through the trees and there would be a little bit more shadow. There we are. So very simple ink blending. There's nothing hugely difficult or clever about that at all. So I'll let that just sit on the side for a minute while I stamp the birch. So I have a piece of card here. I've got my birch stamp here. Now this is a huge stamp. It's perfect for using with a Stamparatus. I think it's easier to show you if I have it on a block, so I've got it on a block, but if you've got a Stamparatus, do use these big stamps on your Stamparatus, because then you haven't got to hold a large block in your hands. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up the stamp, and I'm going to drop my card on top instead of trying to pick up the block and get everything straight, which I find quite difficult. I'm going to do it an easier way. So I've got my Memento ink pad, which I'm taking to the stamp because the stamp is so much bigger than the ink pad. And then I'm going to drop my card on here, and once it's down I'm not going to move it. And then, just so I can press this down without getting covered in ink, I'm going to fold my grid paper over the top like that. So now I can press as much as I like and I won't get inky fingers. I'm keeping one hand holding everything in place so I don't move my white stamping card. And now I'll just pick up the corner and lift that up, and now I have that beautiful birch bark pattern on there just as I wanted it. Just going to put that large stamp out of the way. It's still a little bit inky. There we are. So I can use this up either way. I'll probably use it up that way, I think. And that's going to layer on here, so let me do that. And that will go onto my card base. So this blue card is Misty Moonlight, so it coordinates with everything else. I've put that down really not at all straight, so let's slide that. Better. I'm using liquid glue so I can slide it. There we are. So that's now ready for the next stamped piece. I'll put that aside for a moment. So now I'm going to bring this back, and I've got my set of birch trees from the Welcoming Wood set, and I'm going to need my stamping mat because this is a photopolymer set. So I'll put my stamping mat underneath just in case I go off the edges. I don't want to get that inky. And I make sure I've got my card with my horizontal band of ink the right way round. Then I'm going to ink up my birch trees stamp with the Memento ink pad. So this is the black one again. And then stamp it on here. the tree trunks are kind of cut off. So I'm having them so that they go off the edge at the top. I'll show you in a sec when I lift the stamp. But at the bottom, some of them are stopping short of the edge of the card, so they look a bit like they're in the snow. Okay, so I've gone right off the top edge with them, but some of them are stopping short here. And then I'm going to bring in this slightly odd looking stamp, which is the shadow that fits in between them. And if you're not sure which way round to have it, if you have the stamp the same way as it shows on the box, which is this way round, so you've got a triangle and you've got 3 kind of rectangles, then you've got a little one, a long rectangle, and then another triangle. So that way round, which is exactly as it shows on the box here, then it will perfectly fit the trees. So I'm going to ink that stamp up with Misty Moonlight, stamp it off once just to remove a little bit of the ink so it's not too dark, and then fit it between the tree trunks. And because this is a photopolymer stamp, I can see where to fit it. So if I put that down, I hope you can see that that fits. So the gaps in the image are where the tree trunks come. And then you end up with this sort of horizon line or background, and that could be a little hill, a snowdrift, it could be a little bit of water. I just think it works really, really well to add some detail in. So that's now ready to go on here. So I've got a blue border top and bottom, but nothing at the sides. Then I'll add that on top of my birch bark. Like that. And now I just need my sentiment. Which I thought I'd pulled out and put on a block, but I can't now see, of course. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's here. I left it in the bucket after all. So I've just got a little strip of basic white card, which I'll cut to size once I've stamped. So I'm using Misty Moonlight ink again. And actually I'm going to have to pull this down a little bit low, so I'm sorry if you can't see it well. And then I could use my trimmer, but I think I'm just going to go with scissors and just correct the length on that and put a couple of dimensionals on the back. Or 3 in fact. There we are. And there we are. That's the front of my birthday card, and I'm just going to, have I got an insert? No, I forgot an insert. Well, never mind. Oh no, I have. Here we are. Honestly, if you could see the state of my desk, you'd understand why I'm struggling to find things. It's going to take me an hour to tidy up, I reckon, after this. Okay, there we go. Let's pop happy birthday in there as well. Oh, and I've just realised my comments haven't been going up, so I've got loads of comments here. Let me catch up with those. Thank you, Lorraine. Lorraine's saying hi to everyone. Her conservatory craft area is too hot to craft at the moment. Ooh, I bet it's lovely in winter, but too hot sometimes in summer. Well, that's okay. You can craft later. So Sandy's here. Now I'm not sure what you were saying was very effective, Sandy, and you're going to add it to your next order. So let me know what it was, because I'm very pleased. Okay, right, I think I've caught up with those now. So I'm sorry I didn't see those earlier. You probably thought I was ignoring you, but I just scrolled down and there they were. They just hadn't moved up. So that is my card, which I think is a great masculine birthday card. But I'll just make a little space and pull out another one I made. I haven't put the Wink of Stella on, have I? I'll just do a little bit of that and just show you. So always... Ah, Sandy's saying it's this stamp set she's going to add to her next order. It's really beautiful, Sandy. I'm sure you're going to enjoy using it. So shake your Wink of Stella, and then all I'm doing is just going down the left-hand edge of these trunks and a little bit underneath them as well. Not sure. I think this is my old one. I've got two of these. One is old. I think that might be this one, which doesn't have very much in it. Yes. I can hear it's pumping out air. I think there's just a little bit of shimmer in there. I'll just lift this up and show you, and then I'll finish. I'll put shimmer all the way down on everything later. So I have no idea if that's going to show up until I can see it on my iPad, but you saw where I brushed anyway. So it's just a little bit of shimmer, and then I'll also just add a little bit around the base here of the trunks. So it's not glittery, but it's just a little something there. Pull out my stamping mat so I've got a flat surface, and then the same card but different colours I think looks completely different, or very nearly the same card. So in place of the birch here, I used the new embossing folder whose name escapes me. I'll see if I can find it in the index at the back, then I can tell you. The timber embossing folder, which looks a little bit like a sawn plank. You've got kind of knots of wood and then wood grain. So I used the timber embossing folder on the back. I inked the card before I stamped again, but this time I used different colours. So I've used Fresh Freesia, Calypso Coral, and Daffodil Delight, I think. No, So Saffron, Calypso Coral, and Fresh Freesia. I've used a different word stamp, which I've put the full width of the card at the bottom. And then once I had stamped my birch trunks, I then just over stamped it with the leaf stamp here, also in black ink. So this is a really nice flat card to send. It's got a little bit of texture from the embossing. I love the colours on it. I think they're really pretty, and I like the kind of silhouetted tree trunks against it. So Welcoming Woods, it's a really, really beautiful stamp set. You can definitely make Christmas cards with it. Great for men's cards, but also you can make something quite pretty too. So I do encourage you to have a look at that one. And then last of all, I've just got a couple more cards to show you. And this possibly is my favourite stamp set in the catalogue, Reflected in Nature. I love this image of the cabin in the wood. And this is one of those stamps where when you ink it, parts of the stamp pick up a lot of ink and parts pick up only a tiny bit of ink. I think this is great for men's cards, but it's also lovely for journaling and scrapbooking. The words are just a little bit different. Take time for you. May your journey take you to many new and exciting places. I mean, that's perfect for a new job card or someone going off to university or going travelling, which I'm sure is going to happen again, even if we can't travel much at the moment. And you've got Breathe Deep. I mean, that would be lovely for somebody that's having a tough time. And then Each Day is an Adventure. I also love the eagle on it. That's just something a little bit different. So when you stamp these, this is what the images look like. So this reflection is already done for you on the stamp. You don't have to sort of turn your stamp upside down and re-stamp it or anything like that. And then I made a couple of cards. Obviously it's not exclusively a men's stamp set by any means, but I did make a couple of more male themed cards because I think sometimes they're harder to come up with, aren't they? So there's this one, which is soft suede. Basically the ink and the card is all soft suede. And then I used some of the Baker's Twine from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. I cut off a long length and just made a twisted cord. If you don't know how to do that, that's something I can show you. It's very, very easy. And then just coiled it round and fixed it along there, all with glue dots. So that's that one. And then this is the other one I made, which is all in shades of basic grey. And this time I've torn the card, I've layered it onto some torn basic grey and then onto a larger layer where I've used the Evergreen, I think it is, 3D embossing folder. This is in the annual catalogue. And then the words are from, I'm just looking up at my shelf, Artistically Inked. Couldn't remember the name of the stamp set. And then I've just partially embossed the insert as well, just for a bit of fun on the inside. So just a couple of ideas for quite possibly my favourite set in the whole catalogue. All right, so I am just going to move my camera back up so I can say thank you and goodbye. So bear with me while I do that. This time I will remember to take off those settings so that I'm up the right way. And hopefully straight. Let's adjust the microphone so you can hear me. Okay, hopefully you can see me. Oops, I've got cables caught somewhere. Let's see if I can untangle myself. That's better. Okay. Is that better? Yes, I think it is. So thank you very much indeed for joining me. If you can like and share this video, as always, that really helps me get seen by people who might enjoy this. I will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'll be showing you in particular the Celebration sets and talking to you about how to get free stuff over the next 2 months. I love free crafting things, so I'm sure you do too. So I'll look forward very much indeed to seeing you then. And thank you for joining me. If you've got any questions, do let me know. And I'll see you again soon. I'm going to cover you up yet again now I've said my goodbyes. But I hope to see you back at 2 o'clock tomorrow. If you can't make it at 2 o'clock, don't worry. The video will sit here on my Facebook page and I'll also upload it to YouTube afterwards. And I've got a special playlist I'm going to create with this as the first video on my YouTube channel. And it will be called the July to December mini catalogue launch. So you should be able to find that easily and play all 4 videos as many times as you want. My YouTube channel is Handmade at Home with Sally Bowman, same title as my Facebook page, so hopefully you should be able to find it with no problems. Enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.